Welcome to Amerixa Daily. I want to talk to you about something that sounds like a contradiction so sharp, it almost breaks logic. On one side, you have years of headlines, strong, emotional, repeated across major platforms. Words like dictator, Nazi, threat to democracy. Not subtle. Not vague, direct. Because on the other side, you have the same people, same journalists, walking into a formal dinner. Smiling. Networking. Sitting just feet away from the very person they've described in the most extreme terms possible. Think about that. If someone truly believed a leader was comparable to history's worst figures, would they attend a gala in the same room? Would they laugh, shake hands, and treat it like just another evening? Or flip it? If they don't believe it, if the language is exaggerated, then why use it at all? That's the paradox. Two realities, completely at odds, existing at the same time. And this isn't just one event. It's a pattern. A system. Millions of people watch this unfold every day. Clips, headlines, debates, on repeat. But behind the scenes, the behavior doesn't always match the message. So the real question is, what's real here, the words, or the actions? Because both can't be true at the same time. And once you start pulling on that thread, the whole picture begins to change. Now the obvious answer, the one most people accept, is simple. They're just doing their job. Journalists go where the story is. They attend events. They need access. Sounds reasonable. But let's test it. Imagine someone in your own life, a coworker, neighbor, anyone, who you genuinely believe is dangerous. Not annoying. Not controversial. Dangerous. Would you sit down and have dinner with them? Would you dress up, smile, and casually interact? No. Because when belief is real, it shapes behavior. Every time. And that's where this explanation starts to fall apart. Because these aren't mild criticisms. These are extreme labels. The kind that imply urgency, even fear. Yet the behavior doesn't reflect that urgency. Here's where it gets interesting. At a small, personal level, words and actions match. But at a large, system level, they don't always. Because now, it's not just about belief. It's about incentives. Attention. Access. Influence. And suddenly the question changes from, do they believe this? To, what purpose does this language serve? Beat. And that's where we start peeling back the layers. Layer 1, the incentive system. Let's start with the system itself. Modern media runs on attention. Clicks. Views. Shares. That's the engine. And here's the truth. Calm language doesn't spread. Extreme language does. A headline that says, controversial figure, gets ignored. A headline with strong, emotional framing? That travels fast. So over time, the system rewards intensity. Stronger words, more attention, more reach. But here's the twist. While the language gets more extreme, the behavior stays practical. Because journalists still need access. They need to be in the room. So you get two realities. Public messaging that's intense. Private behavior that's controlled. Same system. Different roles. Layer 2, the audience loop. Now let's go deeper. The audience. Because this doesn't happen alone. People are naturally drawn to strong narratives. Clear sides. High stakes. It's engaging. So over time, the system adapts to that demand. But here's the catch. The audience experiences the message as literal truth, while the system may treat it as amplified framing. And that creates a gap. A disconnect between perception and intention. Beat. And when people notice that gap, they start asking questions. If this is as serious as they say, why doesn't their behavior match? That's where doubt begins. Not instantly, but slowly. And when that happens across millions of people, trust starts to shift. Layer 3, the human story. Now bring this down to a real person. Let's say someone like Mike. He works a regular job. Busy schedule. Doesn't have time to research everything deeply. So he relies on headlines, clips, quick updates. Over time, he hears strong language, over and over. It shapes how he sees things. Now imagine Mike sees those same voices, attending events, acting normal, interacting calmly. What happens? Beat. There's a disconnect. A mental conflict. Because what he was told doesn't match what he sees. So he has to resolve it. Either they don't really believe what they're saying, or I'm missing something. Either way, something changes. And when millions of people experience that same shift, it becomes bigger than one story. It becomes a change in how people see everything. So let's connect it all. What looks like hypocrisy is actually something deeper. It's a system where language is driven by attention, behavior is driven by access, and perception sits in between. Here's the key idea. In large systems, words aren't always pure belief. They're signals. Signals to audiences. Signals to competitors. Signals inside a high-stakes environment. And once you see that, things change. Beat. You stop taking everything at face value. Not because it's false, but because it may serve multiple purposes. You start asking better questions. Not just, is this true? But, why is this being said this way? And most importantly, do the actions match the words? Because that's where the real answer is. Here's the twist. The world isn't necessarily more confusing than before. You're just starting to see how it actually works. And once you notice that gap between words and actions, you can't unsee it. Outro branding. This is Amerixa Daily. And once you see the system behind the story, you'll never look at headlines the same way again. If you want more fresh updates like this, be sure to subscribe to Amerixa Daily.